We all know the person who announces they're quitting social media on social media, or the person whose minimalism looks less like a personal discipline and more like a carefully curated aesthetic designed for an audience. This creates a paradox. Acts of rebellion against the crowd often rely entirely on the crowd's attention to exist. The ancient Greeks called this state of mind tufos. It translates to fog or smoke. It describes the inability to distinguish between what we genuinely need to survive and the social conditioning that dictates what we should want. Broadcasting a refusal to a digital audience embeds the rebel deeper into the very smoke they claim to despise. They are seeking reputation and status, the primary ingredients of the fog. In the 4th century BC, Diogenes of Sinope arrived in Athens as an exile with no household and no citizenship. He took up residence in a large clay storage jar in the center of the city and began his work. He had been banished from his home city for defacing its official coinage. In the ancient world, a coin's value was tied to the official stamp of the city. To alter that stamp was to undermine the city's authority. The Greek word for coinage, nomisma, shares its root with nomos, the word for custom or convention. Diogenes turned his literal crime into a philosophical program. He aimed to strip the stamp of authority from every social convention people mistook for objective truth. For Diogenes, freedom required discarding everything society valued. He stripped his life down until he had zero wealth, zero civic standing, and zero dependencies on the systems built by other men. Cynicism produced no written systems or logic. Instead, it operated through askesis, a Greek term borrowed from athletics meaning disciplined physical practice. Diogenes once watched a child drink water from cupped hands. Realizing that even a wooden bowl was a luxury he didn't biologically require, he threw his own bowl away, noting that a child had bested him in frugality. The logic was subtractive. Every comfort he could remove was a dependency gone, and every dependency removed was a freedom gained. Just as an athlete conditions the body to endure strain, Diogenes conditioned himself to need nothing that could be taken from him. Diogenes used public stunts to expose the fog of social convention. He ate in the marketplace and performed bodily functions in the agora, forcing Athenians to confront the absurdity of hiding natural human biology behind arbitrary rules of politeness. When Plato defined a human as a featherless biped to applause, Diogenes plucked a chicken, throwing it into the academy, announcing, "Here is Plato's man." His most famous encounter occurred with Alexander the Great. When the world's most powerful man offered to grant him any favor he wished, Diogenes replied, "Stand out of my light." Alexander had conquered the known world and still wanted more. The beggar in the dirt wanted nothing from him. The Cynics called this parrhesia, or frank speech. It is the courage to state objective reality exactly as you see it, without adjusting the delivery for the audience's comfort. By rejecting the favor of emperors and the applause of the crowd, Diogenes placed himself outside the reach of anyone else's power. To him, the moment you need someone else to agree with you, you have already traded away your autonomy. This lifestyle passed to his successors. Crates of thieves gave away a massive fortune to live on the streets. He was joined by Hipparchia, a woman from a rich family who rejected her suitors and defied gender norms to teach alongside him in public. They adopted a new term, kosmopolitēs, or citizen of the world. They used it to signal a total rejection of local civic identity and the social contracts attached to it. This original lineage achieved a state of absolute freedom by excising themselves from society entirely. Crates taught Zeno of Citium, who took the Cynic focus on nature and built a formal institution, Stoicism. Zeno made the philosophy survivable, adding logical systems, creating formal schools, and making room for civic duties and family life. The Stoic teacher Epictetus later warned that without divine moral flawlessness and extreme physical toughness, attempting the pure Cynic life results in nothing but a public disgrace. Plato offered a sharper critique from the outside. He viewed Diogenes' public behavior as a performance, famously telling him, "How charming your unaffectedness would be, if only it were not so affected." A life stripped entirely of social convention makes ordinary human relations, like a lasting marriage, raising young children, and maintaining friendships, logically impossible. You cannot sustain a bond with others if you refuse every compromise. 5 centuries later, the movement had degraded into men wearing the Cynic costume and begging in the streets without undertaking the actual discipline. The movement lacked the structure to survive the absence of its most extreme founders. A tradition that depends on extraordinary people often dies with them. Diogenes carried a lit lantern through Athens in broad daylight. When asked what he was doing, he answered, "I am searching for a human being." He leaves us with a permanent lantern light, forcing us to question which of our own desires are real and which are just smoke.